let me take you on a journey of history, a journey of evolution of the mind, a journey so familiar and old, yet so new and ever-changing. Throughout humanity's entire existence, we have seen the world grow exponentially by the touch of machinery, landscapes transformed by industry, and lifestyles eased and enhanced by technological innovation. The earliest traces of mechanical inventions built to run regular specific tasks were water clocks utilised by the Egyptians from 5,000 years ago. But some of the first forms of automated machinery with humanistic resemblance, or what we know today as robots, were birthed in Japan. Illuminated by the sparks of innovation, Japan still stands today as the land of tech, and its cities famously operate to an impressive clockwork punctuality. When combined with the physics of engineering and artistic craftsmanship, this precision yielded the karakuri ningyo, a remarkable Japanese mechanical doll from the 17th century. And since then, artificial life has flourished from the seeds of science.
Recently, I had the honour of speaking to some of Japan's greatest minds, including Professor Takashi Ikegami, a world-renowned scientist at the frontier of artificial intelligence and a cutting-edge artist. Together with roboticist Hiroshi Ishiguro, he is known for creating Alter the Android, a robot that responds to human interaction through lifelike movement. The third generation, Alter 3, has been exhibited worldwide and has even conducted an orchestra in 2018.
Been working on this area, which is called artificial life, for more than 30 years now. The artificial life is it's a possible form of life, which is not made out of DNA or cell, but from information structures or programs or maybe robotics that we are using to make a life, or maybe some sort of non-organic chemical reactions. That's something that I'm interested in. That's what artificial life research is about, yes.
That's amazing. And what sparks your interest in this kind of research?
The physics, my background is physics, and then, what is life? The kind of question is one of this most, I must say, it's kind of obsession of physicists to understand what is life.
With our increasing dependence on technology, an inevitable rise in automation is seen throughout society. I shouldn't have been so surprised when I had my flight check-in and baggage handled by machines at Tokyo's Haneda airport.
So, until now, AI has had the ability to execute tasks based on human input or predetermined functions. This left me with a large question about the next steps. Can AI have free will and consciousness?
Free will is defined as the power of acting without the constraint of necessity or fate, the ability to act at one's own discretion. According to the annual review of Neuroscience, consciousness consists of inner qualitative subjective states of perceiving, feeling, and thinking all together. Conscious states are caused by neurobiological processes in the brain and through the brain structures.
Perhaps as humans with a consciousness, you'd think we'd all have free will, this ability to do everything at our own autonomy. But in shocking reality, this is not the case.
Benjamin Libet is an American neuroscientist. He proves that there's no free will because there's a 0.5 second before what you want to do, there's already neural activities going on, right? I also thought that kind of argument is very interesting, so that I wanted to implement that in my machine computer, and then so those are the motivations that I wanted to make machine which has a free will, which is consciousness, and also at the same time that consciousness. Yeah.
So Professor Ikegami invented the mind-time machine.
The mind time machine has like a 15 input cameras. There's three screens, and actually the camera is taking one part of the screen and then processed by the neural network, and then projecting onto another screen. So it's more like a what do we call feedback video. All the images are stored in the internet. There's several modes how to project images on the screen. It's selected by the neural state, which I designed to do that.
In essence, the MTM gathers many different forms of media from its surroundings through cameras and creates a video on screens that also feed off each other's displays. This all happens in the moment, as the machine receives and reorganizes visual data at its own free will.
How does the MTM do this? Well, it uses a kind of machine learning called deep learning, having at least 3 neural network layers, which are a series of algorithms that operate to mimic the way the brain processes vast amounts of data.
I was also very fortunate to speak to Dr. Hiroki Kojima, a researcher involved with many fascinating projects at the University of Tokyo and the Ikegami lab.
Some deep neural networks is used to classify the input image. This one is a cat, this one is dog or something. But also there is some types of deep neural networks that can generate images. For example, there is a deep neural network called GAN, which is if we put some amount of image into that system, then this system can learn from this image dataset and produce a novel image, but it looks like very real. This kind of system can be used as a new models for the brain. This kind of system is a predictor of the image. So if you put some image, and then we train the network to predict the future image of that. So in this case, we start with a very simple input. So kind of agent is moving in a very simple 3D environment, and then try to predict the future scenery from the input. Place cells, which is a kind of special type of neurons which is found in the hippocampus. If people go to the certain place, the certain neuron fires. After the training, there emerge some kind of place cells in the deep neural networks too. We analyze the resulting structure in the deep neural networks, and we found that there is some orientation in the deep neural networks. This structure actually reflects the proximity of the dataset. So some structure of the set was automatically reorganized in the deep neural network system. So we think that this type of learning or kind of emergence is also used in the brain system. We don't put some constraint for the emergence of this type of structure, but after the training, this type of structure naturally emerges.
Recent developments in neuroscience gave rise to the idea of a baseline function in our brain systems called a default mode network. Think of this as a given default setting that allows us to interact with others as well as our environment in our daily lives.
The other emerging structures of the brain appear to be learned over time and with experience.
By creating the mind-time machine, Professor Ikegami claims to have built an artificial form of the default mode network of the human brain.
What is the biggest thing that distinguishes man from machine?
Well, in that sense, I don't think there's no big differences, because once machine can be brought about among human beings, then why not they can have a human-like mind. Human babies, when they're born, I think they came out without having mind, but they try to imitate human mother's face and caretaker's face, automatically. Then by doing this, the mind is copied from mother to baby, or from the caretaker to baby. The mind is offloaded from outside, because when you see the world, there is some laws and patterns behind those environment that you can understand whether when you see the stones rolling on the slope, then you do understand there is a laws of physics. So that's what I want Android to understand. See the pattern in the environment and then extract patterns from the environment, and then you can understand what the laws and grammatical structures behind those patterns.
Professor Ikegami believes that AI has the same potential as humans, if not more.
That's not to say we should be submissive to robots, but most importantly, we must use AI to our advantage in creating a more efficient, safer and cleaner society.
Currently, humans have wants and desires, but robots don't.
No.
So that's what separates us from robots, and
Right,
that's what enables us to control them.
Right, I think so.
But for the future, what should human responsibilities be in progressing forward? Like, what is the function and purpose of humans on Earth?
Maybe we should change the way that we live. For example, like a climate change. People are discussing is that good develop our scientific technology, but still that people think that the way we've been so far doing is not, in the right way in terms of ethics, right? Even though, like 50 years ago, what we were doing was 100% okay, right? But now that the people don't think it, ethics should be modified when we have a newcomers from outside to our society.
As technology adapts, we also have to adapt to technology
Right.
around us.
And a very important thing is don't, try to keep your ethics now. And maybe it's true. We really have to think in a different way.
If you look around, you'll find that this has already begun. Self-driving cars are being produced by the world's major companies such as Google and Tesla to eliminate human error, which accounts for 94 to 96% of all motor accidents.
When AI comes into our world, right? I mean, do you think it's cheating to use like a fast computer, or what is your bare brain, right?
For instance, doing calculations in Excel for even something simple like that, AI can do that so much better than us.
Yeah, that's
Because
right.
we are prone to errors. I do think maybe our role is to just moderate it. So, for instance, there was an incident during the World War where a Russian military base received a signal. There were two guys on board a submarine or something, and they received a signal that told them to fire the atomic nuclear or something, some missile. Turns out it was a very random signal, but the two guys did not decide to fire it. It was just a machine mishap. No signal had been sent. So thank goodness that they took it upon their hands and they didn't send the signal. I think the man's name was Petrov. And he basically saved
the world.
Yeah, he saved the world.
It is statistically true that AI has a far lower error rate than we do. But in the end, leaving judgment or decisions to AI or humans will vary case by case. Perhaps to make our decisions, we ought to use a collective strategy implemented in advance by using a blended approach with technology. To wrap it up, we can use artificial intelligence as a precaution for our errors, or to speed up and ease tasks in a precise way. And perhaps someday, as globally acclaimed physicist Michio Kaku said, robots sent to Mars will be able to self-replicate, to build settlements for us beyond our Earth.